voice crack. Hello. We're off to an awesome start at the Inner Love Astrology Podcast. I'm Heidi,
And I'm Jocelyn.
and we are talking today about Gemini, which is Jocelyn's sun sign. So she's our resident Gemini, and in typical Gemini fashion, and me just being me, we are apologizing for the delay in our Gemini episode because it's summer, we have kids, and yeah, so here we are now. That's all that matters. And
Crazy.
right. And today, on top of all that, is a super new moon. It is the Cancer new moon, and it is a Monday, which is ruled by the moon, and Cancer ruled by the moon. So big moon day.
The big new moon season. I'm very excited because I can't wait to do my new moon ritual. One of my favorite
Yes.
things to do. I look forward to it. And the full moon.
Yes.
New moons are fun because new moon's all about setting intentions, setting your wishes, putting it all out there, and seeing what comes this month. So I'm excited because new moons, it's all about putting your intentions out there, making your wishes. And because the moon rules your emotions, when you make those wishes, you really want to make sure you're feeling it. Feel what it's going to feel like for those wishes to come true and really get into it. And it's so much fun to really feel what you could possibly create because it's endless possibilities. It's exciting.
Oh, yes. Yes. And there is scientific evidence that visualizing does do stuff to your brain. They've done brain scans where they have people visualize things and then do the actual thing, and the same parts of their brain are activated just by visualizing. And I was like, whoa, that's freaking cool.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I love it. I love writing my little wishes down because I'm like, why not? Let's go big with this one. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll do a little spell jar later. I do like those.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty. So we are gonna jump right into the Gemini mythology. um, so Gemini is Latin for twins, so that's where we get the name from. And so in Greek mythology, the twins are the two stars that make up Gemini are named after Castor and Polydeuces, or Pollux in Latin, and I'm gonna go forward with Pollux because it's easier. So they have an interesting story. They, of course, it's Greek mythology. So their mother was Leda, and she was seduced by a swan version of Zeus because Greek gods like to turn into animals to seduce women. So Zeus turned into a swan and seduced and impregnated Leda. And then later that day, she got it on with her husband, King Tendarius, and she got pregnant by him. So she was pregnant with two different men at the same time. But little did she know at the time that there were four babies in her. She had two sets of twins, a set of twins by Zeus and a set of twins by King Tyndareus. Zeus's twins were believed to be Pollux and Helen, and then her husbands were Castor and Clytemnestra. Something like that. We're not going to go into her more because it's not really part of the myth. It's possible that because Gemini is a masculine air sign that we associate it more with the male twins, but they exist. They have their own myths, and I didn't look into them as much as I could have. So Castor was a famed horseman and warrior. And then Pollux was a champion boxer. And one of the myths that they're best known for is for joining Jason and the Argonauts on their quest for the Golden Fleece, which you guys might remember from our Aries episode. The crew was challenged by Amycus, the son of Poseidon, to a boxing match, or they couldn't pass by him and continue. So Pollux, the champion boxer, took him up on that offer and busted his skull, and so they were able to continue on their journey. And for that reason, the twins are known as the patron saints to sailors. So for how they got in the sky, Castor and Pollux were involved in a feud with Idas and Lynceus, who were twin sons of King Tyndareus's half-brother's wife. And this feud was over women, of course, because that's how things go, of course. The women were Phoebe and Hilera, and they were engaged to Idas and Lynceus, but Castor and Pollux decided that they wanted them for themselves. So a fight broke out between the two sets of twins. And in this fight, Lynceus impaled Castor with his sword, and then Pollux got him and killed him in a battle frenzy. But before Idas could avenge his own brother, Zeus struck him down with lightning to protect his own son. And so Pollux was absolutely devastated because his brother, they were super close, even though one was mortal and one was immortal. They were super tight. And so Pollux was understandably devastated and pled with his father Zeus to grant Castor immortality so they could stay together. So Zeus allowed them to split their time in Mount Olympus and in the underworld. So they were able to go back and forth between the god land and the underworld land. And to honor their brotherly love, he put an image of the twins in the sky as the constellation we all now know as Gemini. And then something interesting too is that Babylonia calls the stars in their own language, but they translate to the mighty king and the one who has risen from the underworld. So I thought that was interesting that they have like a similar idea for the twins, but I didn't learn more about the actual myth from Babylonia other than that. But thought it was cool. Put it out there.
Yeah, it's always fun to see where these constellations come from because you look up in the sky and you're like, okay, that's what it's called, but learning the
Right.
history is always fun.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't even like I don't even know specifically which stars they are. So I'm like, oh, pretty stars. And then I'm like, oh, that's Castor and Pollux. Cool.
But yeah, no, the more you know. The more you know, which is all about what Gemini is all about.
Perfect. Yes.
So Gemini is actually ruled by Mercury, and Mercury and Gemini are both known for communicating. It's all about communicating, talking. So Gemini usually stands for the teacher, the storyteller, witness, journalist, anything that's got to do with communicating with somebody else, telling a story, talking. Geminis like to talk. But Gemini also, actually, I just want to clear it up. Gemini is not two-faced. That is not what Gemini is about. All right, we all get a bad rap
Nope.
for multiple personalities. That's not true. It's kind of true, but it's not two personalities. We just have a lot going on in our minds all the time. Okay, that is
Yep.
not picking on the Geminis.
Yes.
But Geminis actually, because they love to communicate, they really do well having a partner, a sparring partner, if you will. They love somebody to talk and debate with, somebody that just helps them build off of what they're thinking. They need to get it out. It's all in their head and they got to get it out.
And that kind of goes with the whole twin concept because like
Yeah,
twins are together and they communicate to each other and stuff. And so, that's part of the symbology or symbolism, not symbology, symbolism behind the twins specifically with this sign and their traits and stuff.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, Gemini likes to learn. I mean, Geminis will jump from book to book, story to story, topic to topic. I can tell you, I'm all over the place. I want to know
Yes.
everything about everything. But Geminis also have a tendency to keep it superficial because they want to take in so much information that we really don't want to get bothered with the depth of it all. So surface information is good enough. As long as I can have a conversation with you, I'm happy.
Yep.
Which is also, when you look at the opposite sign of Gemini, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the opposite. They want answers. They'll ask questions, but they need to dig, 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 and they need to know why. But Gemini will ask the question, listen to the first sentence or two, and that's good enough for me. I have enough to know. But before you call me flighty, Geminis also have a really good intuition. We tend to just kind of know what we need to know before we need to go any further. So you jump around, you learn, you read 10 books at once,
Yeah.
and I have all my answers. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going.
And like the free association with like Gemini, they just kind of like are able to put things together. Like they'll learn a little bit about this and a little bit about this, and they're able to like figure out the deeper part that combines them or whatever without having to actually do more of the research and stuff, which is
Yeah,
that intuition too, to just know.
it's one of the gifts of being an air sign like that because air
Mhm.
moves quick. So the mind
Yes.
is quick. It's very quick intellectual. You pick things up pretty nice. People kind of, they can almost surprise you with how much they know about random topics, and you're like, why do you know this? And they just decided to look it up one day. That's why they just always want to have a question. I
Like,
am the
how do
same
you know
Google.
that?
You want to know something? I will find out for you. I love looking things up.
I think on our headstones, even though I'm not a Gemini, but on our headstones, we're probably gonna have like the quote, "Let me Google that," because that's
But
I'm gonna look that up.
I will stop what I'm doing to Google your answer. I will.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fault.
I'm watching Vikings right now, and so much of the stuff that's on there, I'm like, let me look. Let me see how this is in like history.
I'm literally looking at my desk right now, and I have at least 10 books here right now. So I'm kind of glad you can't see it.
Yeah, Geminis
But
are fun.
it's a good thing. But there's always the shadow, right? There's always the shadow side.
Always.
We all have our faults.
Yes. And some of those, not to, dog on you, Gemini or anything, but one of the low road aspects of Gemini is talking just to talk. And not having any depth to it, just, a lot of like just random chatter. They're also kind of known for their shadow of gossip or spreading misinformation or deliberately deceptiveness. Um, and so this can come from like past life karma that centers on like lies or nefarious schemes that they'd had before. So yeah, and this can also come from them being bored. If they're just bored, they're just gonna be like, "Oh, guess what I heard? Because I need to talk. I'm a Gemini."
I honestly felt so much better once I understood Gemini more because I really couldn't figure out how it was possible to have 100 thoughts going at once and still be sitting there, but I'm bored. How? How are you bored? Oh my
Yep.
goodness, it's exhausting.
I think my Mercury and Leo relates to that. Because yeah, fire is fast too. And so yeah, I'd be like, there's a million things I can do, but I'm bored. And don't
Yeah.
want to.
And my biggest
Yeah.
downfall, I'll be honest, my biggest downfall is getting so overwhelmed with all of my thoughts and plans that I actually do nothing.
Yeah.
It's like trying to run in 5 directions at once, so you go nowhere.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I do like one of the things I really love about Geminis is that because they are so good with words and their the way they communicate and stuff. A quote that from Stephen Forrest in his book about Geminis, he says, "The poem is wiser than the poet, and the fool believes what he sees." I I love that. Like that's
That is
so
really
Geminian. Yeah. And like kind of building off of that, Another one of the shadow sides to Gemini is intellectual arrogance. So kind of, being an expert and like assuming they know everything, because Gemini is the sign to ask questions, to constantly be curious and, you know, fulfill that curiosity to a level, not the level of Sagittarius, but they can seem like they know everything when they really only know the surface level, and they come across as, hey, I know everything, except for I don't know all of everything.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's
but
true.
yep, the more you know. So any Geminis listening, just learn a little bit more and stop acting like you know everything, and you'll be good.
As I've gotten older, I've learned to be honest with,
Yes.
I know a little bit, but if you need more information, I'm probably not your girl.
I
Well,
just
I'll look it
recently
up for you.
right, oh, let me Google that. I was just telling my son a couple days ago, that, knowledge is power, and the more you know, the just the better off you'll be. And like, that like I'm always wanting to learn more, and that's, just how you get better. Like there's never ending knowledge. And he thought that was genius. My little Leo boy, he was like, yes, there's always more to learn. I was
Yeah,
like, yes, yes, son, there
I've gotten
is.
more,
Never stop learning.
yeah, yeah. I've gotten more humble in my older age.
Hmm.
I'm okay with admitting I don't know everything now.
Yes, and everyone needs to understand that, because we all have Gemini in us. And so there's a part of all of us that might have that intellectual arrogance, or feel like they're an expert in something. But so yeah, again, the more you know, now that you have Gemini somewhere in you, and that you watch out for being a little bit arrogant over your knowledge, but also understand that it's the curiosity that you do have that is what I love Gemini. I really love Gemini so much. Like I know so many people are like, oh, I hate Geminis, like, "Arr." And I'm
You
like,
get a bad rep, we do, but we're
they
really
do.
not bad.
It's so sad. Like I even, like, when I wrote the blog about it, like I like started off with, there's a misconception about Geminis, and they're not bipolar, they're not two-faced, they're just full of a lot of conversation, and it can flip-flop, and they, might just feel more about what they're talking about. So it seems like they're bipolar because they're getting a little bit more aggressive about this conversation that they're really passionate about. But they, might just really enjoy this other conversation. So, I think it more comes to like how they feel about the conversation, and the topic of it is where the bipolarness comes out. And I'm using quotes when I say bipolar because they're not really bipolar. There are plenty of Geminis that are not bipolar, and there are plenty of bipolar people who are not Gemini, and I'm one of those. So there we go. But yeah, and so Geminis are awesome. I love you, Jocelyn. You and all your Gemini scatterbrainedness.
At least you love it because I drive myself nuts sometimes. But
I can see that.
I have fun.
Yes, I can see how that happens. So, yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to tap in on? I kind of took over with the the shadow side. You mentioned it, so I was like,
Oh, but
I'm
that's what
doing it
Gemini's all about. I love having this dialogue. It makes it more fun.
for real. Yes, and we kind of planned this one to be more dialogue-y than the past ones, so we're maybe a little bit more scattered, but it's the essence of Gemini.
The essence of the conversation. It fits.
Yeah, and I do think that's kind of funny though, because we were a lot more like organized and like to the point on Aries and Taurus, and like Taurus doesn't like things out of place, and Aries is like, we're gonna get this done, and we're gonna go from point A to point B, and then Gemini is like, hey, we're just gonna talk about everything.
Gemini's like, welcome to the madhouse. I'm gonna let you take a peek around until you can't take it
Right.
anymore.
And then our next one will be Cancer, and we're gonna come way down into the water, and we're probably just gonna talk about family and the things that we feel and the things that we want to protect. But we'll get into that more. I won't go too much into Cancer because that's not that's not this week.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Not there yet. See, your Gemini
Oh,
rubs off on me. Like, I swear, your Gemini rubs off on me. It's contagious.
because it's a good thing.
It is a
Everything
good
needs to
thing.
have a little bit of intellectual fun.
Yes, and I love it. I love it. And Marilyn Monroe, who is a son and has her son in Gemini, had. Um, I love this quote: "Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring." And that is such a Gemini quote. Like,
It totally resonates with me because I really have no problem looking ridiculous. Sometimes that's not totally true, but more often than not, I'm okay with the silly side.
yeah, of course. And we all need to get there. We all need to encompass that little the childlike curiosity and fun side of Gemini. Just like yeah, I want to know everything and I just want to be fun and I want to tell you about everything I know. And yeah, I love it.
So I do
uh,
too.
yeah.
I feel like that
All
kind of
righty.
wraps it up. I mean, I hope we didn't confuse anybody, but I think that kind of wraps it up.
I think it does. And like you said, it kind of encapsulates Gemini in this nice little thing, bubble, capsule. All right.
I don't think we're
So,
gonna let this one go now because now it's starting to get a little silly.
right, I think so too. My bad. My bad. All righty. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks with Cancer. But for now, if you guys would like to book readings with our silly selves, you can find us at innerloveastrology.com. And then we also have a Patreon where you can support us on a monthly basis and give you all sorts of good astrology goodies. And that's patreon.com/innerloveastrology. And you can find us on pretty much all social media platforms, including Instagram's new threads at innerloveastrology. So come find us, come chat with us. We're fun, obviously. Duh. So yeah.
And you can even send us an email at info@innerloveastrology.com because who doesn't like to get a good email? Why not? Just reach
Right.
out and say hi.
Yeah, and you can sign up for our oh yeah, on that note, you can sign up for our newsletter and get some fun little emails from us and get 20% off of your first reading from us. So woohoo. Yeah. This was so much fun. Alrighty, but yes, we should sign off before I get too silly because it seems like I'm getting there. And I'm not even the Gemini, like what the hell?
Because it's bubbling up. I know. You're welcome.
Yeah. Contagious. Alrighty, so I'm done.
All right.
We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
We will see you back at Talk About Cancer.
Yep. Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.